Hi there. It's good to be able to talk to you again. Yesterday at church we had our Harvest Thanksgiving. It was a bit different this year because we couldn't have the usual display of produce around the communion table. But we did have a collection of foodstuffs for the local food bank, and quite a collection it was. I shouldn't be surprised by the generosity of our congregation, but it was marvellous to see such a big collection of tins and packets and all sorts of things that the food bank will be able to pass on to people in need. And it's important at harvest time that we not only say thank you to God for all He has provided us with, but also that from His generous providing, we share something with those who are less fortunate than ourselves. The Jewish Torah makes this part of their law. The book of Deuteronomy spells it out. It instructs the reapers not to cut right to the edge of the field, but leave something around the edges for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow. Likewise, they must take only one beet from the olive trees and one pick from the vines. The Torah reminds us that we must never forget the homeless and the helpless, the migrants and the nobodies, to whom we must be as compassionate and merciful as God Himself. Harvest was for the Israelites, as it is for us, a time for being thankful. But it was also a time for sharing what they had with those who had next to nothing. We see how that worked in action in the book of Ruth. Ruth is gleaning in a barley field just outside Bethlehem, so that she and her mother-in-law, both of them widows, might have something to help them through the winter. Into the field comes the farmer, Boaz, who falls head over heels in love with Ruth. They marry and have a son, Obed. And right at the end of the book, we're told why this is so significant for the history of Israel. Because Obed turns out to be the father of Jesse, and therefore the grandfather of none other than the great King David himself, the one who slew Goliath when he was a boy. But it doesn't stop there. For this wee story leads not only to the birth of King David, but in time to the birth of Jesus himself, who was of the house and line of David, as the Christmas stories tell us, born to fulfill God's plan for the redemption and restoration of the world. And the point is this: when people remember their duty of care for others, when they remember that God requires them to share what they have with the widow and the orphan and the stranger, great and wonderful things can and do happen. In celebrating the harvest, we need to remember the duty our calling as people of faith places upon us to care for those less fortunate than ourselves. That's what giving to the food bank is all about, because harvest is a time not only for thanksgiving, but for sharing. God bless you today and always. Bye for now.